You ever see someone act so entitled, so full of power, that they treat another human like trash, just because they can? Well, what if I told you that life sometimes has a way of flipping the script so hard? It leaves the arrogant begging for help from the very person they once humiliated. This is one of those stories. A story that starts in the glittering halls of privilege, where a wealthy, well-connected VIP struts into an international lounge and lashes out at a hard-working migrant over something as petty as a seating mix-up. What begins as a display of sheer disrespect quickly turns into a disturbing moment of public humiliation. But that's just the start. Because what this VIP doesn't know is that fate is quietly watching, and it's about to make a move that not only exposes who they really are, but also puts them in a position they never thought they'd face. You're not just here for a drama story. You're here to find out exactly how this dramatic power shift happens. And trust me, by the end, you'll be questioning who you would have sided with if you had witnessed it unfold in real life. Before we dive deeper, let me ask you something. Why do some people think status gives them the right to treat others like they're invisible? If you've ever been overlooked, judged, or put down because of how you look, where you come from, or what language you speak, this story is going to hit hard. And if you've ever silently wished that karma was real, you're about to see it in motion. As we go deeper, I want you to really stay with me. This isn't just a viral story. It's a window into human behavior, into ego, power, and what happens when the tables turn in the most unexpected way. Every second of this tale matters, and by the end, you'll have the closure you're looking for, the answer to that burning curiosity that made you click this video in the first place. Now, we're about to meet two very different people. One who thinks they own the room, and one who quietly survives in the background, unnoticed, uncelebrated. But by the time this story ends, the whole room will be looking in a completely different direction. The energy, it shifts. The power, it flips. And just when you think it couldn't get any more intense, something happens that even I didn't see coming. Stick around, because what happens next will leave you stunned. The room where it all started was far from ordinary. A private airport lounge reserved only for the city's elite. A place where the world's movers and shakers expect not just luxury, but deference. It was in this gilded bubble that our VIP, with their polished shoes and an air thick with entitlement, first encountered the migrant. The migrant wasn't here because of wealth or influence, but because they had traveled thousands of miles, chasing opportunity and a better life for their family. Their hands carried stories of struggle and resilience that no one in that lounge could understand, or even care to notice. They moved quietly, trying to blend in, to survive in a world where their presence was barely tolerated. Yet, despite the glaring inequality in their lives, there was a strength in their eyes that made them impossible to ignore. As the VIP glanced down their nose and issued the first insult, it was more than just words. It was a reminder of a divide that feels too big to bridge. The migrant's face didn't show anger or tears right away. Instead, there was a slow-burning fire that even the VIP didn't see coming. The insult echoed around the lounge, setting off whispers among other guests, some uncomfortable, some indifferent. But what no one realized at the moment was that this exchange was only the surface of a deeper story, a story of power, prejudice, and the fragile masks people wear in public. Behind the scenes, both characters carried heavy backstories that would soon collide in ways neither expected. The VIP, who had grown up with privileges most can only dream of, wasn't just an arrogant figure fueled by ego. Beneath that polished exterior lay pressures and insecurities born from an upbringing where success was demanded at every turn, where image meant everything, and where vulnerability was a weakness to be hidden at all costs. Their sharp tongue and quick temper were shields forged in boardrooms and social clubs, places where mistakes could ruin reputations overnight. But in that moment, confronting someone they believed was beneath them, the VIP revealed a dangerous mix of entitlement and deep fear of losing control. The migrant, on the other hand, carried their own hidden stories. Stories of heartbreak, sacrifice, and relentless hope. Far from the glamour of the VIP's world, their journey was paved with long nights, dead-end jobs, and the constant weight of being seen as the other. Every insult was a sting, yes, but also a reminder of the walls built by prejudice and systemic injustice. And yet, beneath the hardship was a quiet dignity and a fierce will to prove that worth is never defined by status or nationality. The migrants' resilience was not just about surviving. It was about carving out a place in a world that often refused to make room. Around them, other characters started to emerge, some allies, some antagonists, each with their own stake in the story. There was the lounge manager, caught between maintaining order and not wanting to upset the VIP, who was a longtime client, and the migrant, who was a symbol of the changing world. There was also a curious journalist, present by coincidence, whose instinct told them this confrontation was more than just a moment of rudeness. It was a window into the raw, unresolved tensions simmering beneath the surface of modern society. This journalist's presence added another layer to the unfolding drama, as their camera and notebook hinted that the story might not stay confined to the lounge. As the VIP's insult landed, something unexpected happened. A bystander stepped in, an old friend of the migrant who had once been in a similar situation, but had found a way to rise through the cracks of the system. Their calm but firm defense sparked murmurs in the crowd and unsettled the VIP, who was not used to being challenged, especially not by someone they'd overlooked. This moment planted the seed for a slow unraveling of assumptions and power structures, but it also raised questions about loyalty, identity, and what it really means to belong. While all this was happening, the migrant's phone buzzed with a message that would soon change everything. It was a call from home, news that pulled at their heart but also strengthened their resolve. They were not just fighting for themselves, but for a family and a future that depended on more than just luck. Meanwhile, the VIP received an urgent call from a business partner, one that would force them to leave the comfort of the lounge and face a crisis that could threaten their carefully built empire. The irony. This crisis would soon make the VIP vulnerable in ways they had never experienced before. The tension between the two central characters mirrored a larger societal battle playing out across cities and countries. The struggle between privilege and perseverance, between old power structures and new voices demanding respect and dignity. It's a story that echoes in headlines and social feeds, one that touches on immigration, race, inequality, and the fragile nature of identity in a globalized world. The conflict in the lounge was a microcosm of these vast issues, but it was also intensely personal. As viewers, you're invited not just to watch, but to feel the weight of these moments, to wonder what you would do if you were in that migrant's shoes or the VIP's. Would you have the courage to stand up? Would you recognize your own biases or be forced to confront them? And when fate takes its unexpected turn, how would you react when the roles you thought were fixed suddenly become fluid? This is where the story deepens, where the initial insult is just the starting gun for a much more complex emotional race. The next chapter will take you beyond the walls of the lounge, into a series of encounters and revelations that will test loyalties, expose hidden truths, and challenge everyone's assumptions about justice and redemption. Subplots will weave through as the journalist's investigation picks up steam. The lounge manager faces a moral dilemma, and the migrant's old friend grapples with their own past. Meanwhile, the VIP's crisis spirals, stripping away layers of control and revealing a vulnerability so raw, it shakes the very foundation of their identity. None of this is straightforward or easy. It's messy, painful, and profoundly human. What happens when someone who has always been in control suddenly loses it? What happens when the person they once scorned becomes the one holding the key to their survival? The answers are coming, but not yet. For now, the stage is set. The players are in motion, and every moment that passes tightens the grip of suspense. Stay with me, because the twist that's about to unfold will not only change their lives, but might just change the way you see the world. The question is, who really holds the power when everything is on the line? The tension that had quietly simmered beneath the surface of that airport lounge was about to explode in ways no one could predict. The insult, the moment of public humiliation, was no longer an isolated event, but a spark that ignited a firestorm of consequences. The VIP, who had long been accustomed to getting their way, found themselves staring down a rapidly closing door. The migrant, who had so far been quiet and composed, suddenly became the center of a gathering storm that would pull everyone into its orbit. What started as a clash between two individuals was swiftly morphing into a battle between deeply ingrained systems of power and the resilience of those who refused to be silenced. Behind closed doors, the VIP's world was unraveling. The urgent call they had received moments earlier turned out to be more than just a routine business hiccup. It was a major scandal threatening to topple their carefully curated reputation. A leak of sensitive information connected to a high-profile deal had emerged on social media, triggering an avalanche of negative attention. Overnight, the VIP went from being untouchable to vulnerable, with their corporate empire shaking under the weight of public scrutiny. The irony was bitter. The same arrogance that had fueled their rise was now blinding them to the precariousness of their situation. Meanwhile, the migrant's story was gaining momentum beyond the lounge's walls. The journalist who had witnessed the confrontation was working furiously to piece together a narrative that went far deeper than just a rude insult. Their investigation uncovered a tangled web of issues: discrimination, broken immigration policies, and the everyday struggles of millions who come seeking opportunity but face rejection at every turn. As snippets of the story circulated online, it sparked conversations, debates, and even protests, transforming the migrant into an unexpected symbol of courage and hope. Yet, despite the growing public support, the migrant remained wary, aware that exposure could bring dangers as well as opportunities. The lounge manager, torn between loyalty to their longtime VIP client and an emerging sense of justice, found themselves at a crossroads. They had spent years catering to the elite, maintaining a polished facade of order and luxury, but now questioned the morality of their role in perpetuating inequality. The manager's internal conflict added another layer of complexity to the unfolding drama as they weighed the consequences of speaking out against the risks of remaining silent. This subplot highlighted the gray areas where personal ethics and professional obligations collide, reminding viewers that even in the most controlled environments, change often begins with a simple act of courage. Amid this turmoil, the old friend of the migrant stepped back into the spotlight. Their history was a story of survival against the odds, having once been trapped in the same cycle of prejudice and struggle, but managing to rise through sheer determination and savvy. However, their journey was not without scars. Haunted by past betrayals and sacrifices, the friends' intentions were ambiguous, sometimes protective, sometimes driven by personal motives. This added tension to the story, as alliances shifted and trust became a scarce commodity. The dynamic between the migrant and their friend underscored the complexity of navigating a world where help often comes with strings attached. Then, just as the story seemed to be spiraling in expected directions, an unexpected twist shattered all assumptions. The scandal engulfing the VIP wasn't just about leaked documents or corporate missteps. It was connected to something far darker, a secret that tied the VIP to an underground network exploiting migrant labor and trafficking. The very person who had publicly insulted the migrant was now entangled in a conspiracy that preyed on people just like them, weaving a cruel irony that shocked even the most cynical observers. This revelation sent shockwaves through the community and challenged everyone's perceptions of victim and villain. The journalist's investigation took on a life of its own, with new sources coming forward and evidence mounting. Social media exploded with hashtags demanding justice, fueling a viral movement that forced authorities to act. The migrant, once hesitant to speak out, found themselves at the center of a battle that was no longer just personal, but systemic. Their courage inspired others, but also put them in danger. as those invested in maintaining the status quo pushed back hard. The stakes had never been higher, and the question hanging in the air was clear. How far would anyone go to protect the truth? Meanwhile, the VIP's downfall accelerated. As their empire crumbled, they faced betrayal from unexpected quarters, including trusted allies abandoning ship. Public opinion turned vicious, with every misstep magnified and dissected online. Yet, beneath the public collapse was a man or woman grappling with their own shattered identity, someone forced to confront the consequences of years of unchecked privilege and cruelty. This personal unraveling was as gripping as the external conflict, drawing viewers into a psychological journey of reckoning and remorse. Though redemption was still far away, the lounge itself became a symbol, a microcosm of society's divides and contradictions. What was once a place of exclusion and entitlement transformed into a battleground where voices long suppressed fought to be heard. The manager's decision to finally speak out sparked a chain reaction, encouraging others to share their stories and challenge the old order. This ripple effect suggested that real change might be possible, but only through collective action and persistent courage. As the narrative moved closer to its climax, the various threads began to intertwine more tightly. The migrant's old friend revealed secrets that threatened to undermine their cause. The journalist uncovered evidence implicating even higher powers, hinting at a conspiracy extending far beyond what anyone imagined. The VIP's desperate attempts to salvage their reputation became more erratic and dangerous, escalating the tension to a breaking point. Every character faced choices that could alter their lives irrevocably, and the audience was left wondering who would emerge victorious and who would be crushed under the weight of their own actions. Throughout this escalation, the story maintained a human core, reminding viewers that behind headlines and scandals are real people with fears, hopes, and flaws. The themes of race, immigration, power, and justice resonated deeply in a society still grappling with these issues daily. By weaving these elements into a gripping narrative filled with suspense and surprise, the story became not just entertainment, but a mirror reflecting urgent conversations happening around the world. So, as you watch this unfold, ask yourself, when the powerful fall and the oppressed rise, who truly wins? And in a world where fate can reverse roles in an instant, what does that say about our own assumptions and prejudices? The answers are still coming, and what happens next will shock you more than you ever expected. Stay with me. Because the climax is close, but the story is far from over. What you think you know is about to be challenged in the most unforgettable way. The moment of reckoning finally arrived, and with it, a whirlwind of revelations that no one saw coming. The migrant, once just a face in a crowded airport lounge, was now the heart of a seismic shift, their courage shining like a beacon in a world shadowed by prejudice and power plays. As the scandal surrounding the VIP erupted into full public view, the entire system that had protected privilege and punished vulnerability began to crack open. Yet this story was never just about one insult or one confrontation. It was about the deep wounds that lie beneath the surface of society's eye, divisions, and the strength it takes to confront them head-on. When the truth about the underground network exploiting migrant labor finally surfaced, it hit like a tidal wave. Authorities who had seemed indifferent suddenly scrambled to act, pressured by the growing chorus of voices demanding justice. The poor migrant who had initially feared backlash found an unexpected community rallying behind them. Not just strangers online, but everyday people who had faced their own struggles and saw their story as a call to action. This swelling support was both empowering and dangerous, drawing unwanted attention from those desperate to keep secrets buried. The tension escalated, turning personal bravery into a public battle. At the same time, the VIP's empire was unraveling, in dramatic fashion. Once untouchable, they faced mounting legal challenges, media scrutiny, and the betrayal of close allies who abandoned ship to save their own reputations. But beyond the public spectacle was a raw human story unfolding. The VIP was forced to confront the consequences of a lifetime spent wielding power, without empathy, a reckoning that exposed fears and regrets hidden beneath layers of arrogance. In quiet moments, they wrestled with questions that no amount of money or influence could answer. Who am I without my status? What happens when the world turns against you? This human vulnerability added a profound dimension to the conflict, reminding viewers that even the most privileged can be broken, and that redemption, if it comes, is never easy. Meanwhile, the lounge manager's decision to break the silence ignited a spark that quickly became a flame. By sharing their story and standing with the migrant, they challenged the culture of silence that had long enabled injustice. Their courage encouraged others in positions of quiet complicity to step forward, revealing stories of discrimination and inequality that had been hidden behind polished facades. This ripple effect underscored a powerful theme. Real change begins when ordinary people refuse to look away. The manager's journey from bystander to advocate became a powerful subplot, showing how small acts of bravery can have outsized impacts in the fight for justice. The old friend's role became more complicated as new secrets emerged. Once a protector, they were revealed to have had their own hidden agenda, a desperate attempt to secure a future by any means necessary. This revelation strained the bond with the migrant, introducing heartbreak and betrayal into an already volatile mix. Yet through conflict came growth. The migrant's ability to forgive and to see beyond personal pain hinted at a larger message of healing and resilience. This subplot brought emotional depth and nuance, reminding viewers that even flawed relationships can teach us important lessons about trust and survival. As the story hurtled toward its climax, the journalist's tireless investigation pulled together the strands of conspiracy and corruption that linked the VIP, the underground network, and a shadowy group of powerful backers. The explosive exposé rocked not only the local community, but reached national headlines, forcing systemic reforms and inspiring renewed debates about immigration, labor rights, and social justice. The journalist's commitment to truth in the face of intimidation was a testament to the power of the free press and the importance of speaking truth to power, reinforcing a key theme that courage comes in many forms. Then came the twist nobody expected. Just as the migrant prepared to testify in a landmark case that promised to bring justice to the exploited and to hold the VIP accountable, it was revealed that the entire scenario had been manipulated by a third party, someone who had been pulling strings from the shadows. This mysterious figure had orchestrated the confrontation and subsequent fallout as part of a grander scheme to dismantle the VIP's empire and gain control over the lucrative network. The migrant, the VIP, even the journalist had all been pawns in a high-stakes game of power and revenge, blurring the lines between victim and villain in a way that shocked everyone. This twist forced viewers to reconsider everything they had seen and challenged simplistic narratives about good and evil. Despite this new betrayal, the story's resolution brought a sense of hope and renewal. The migrant's testimony, strengthened by overwhelming community support and undeniable evidence, led to sweeping legal victories that began dismantling the exploitative system. The VIP faced justice not only in the courtroom, but also in the court of public opinion, their fall serving as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked privilege and cruelty. The lounge manager's advocacy sparked ongoing conversations about equity and inclusion, proving that one person's voice can indeed catalyze change. Even the migrant's complicated friendship found moments of reconciliation, showing that healing is possible even in the most fractured relationships. As the dust settled, the story left a lasting impact. It was a powerful reminder that strength doesn't come from power or status, but from resilience, integrity, and the willingness to stand up against injustice, even when the odds seem insurmountable. It showed that fate can shift in an instant, upending roles and expectations, and that true courage often means facing uncomfortable truths and embracing change. The narrative closed not just with answers, but with a call to reflection. How do we treat those who are different? What legacies are we willing to build or dismantle? And above all, what kind of world do we want to create moving forward? Thank You for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories of inner strength and resilience. Until next time, stay strong, stay brave, and never forget your worth.